Mum's words still echoed in my ears as I stood there, phone trembling in my hand. The conversation had gone from concern to chaos in seconds. My eyes welled up with tears, and I could feel a heavy lump forming in my throat. It had started so innocently, just a chat about our cluttered apartment, but it had spiraled into something I couldn't have predicted. Since our marriage, things hadn't been easy. My husband's anxiety had intensified, and I was struggling with the emotional roller coaster of if and its accompanying failures. But I never imagined that my parents, the people who had always been there for me, would turn against me. I walked back into our apartment, my heart pounding. He was sitting on the couch, his face etched with mixture of anger and frustration. He looked up as I entered, his eyes cold and distant.
I heard it all.
Tears welled up in my eyes and I sank into a chair opposite him. I don't know what got into her. She's never acted like that before. He shook his head, his frustration evident.
She said you're the source of all my stress, that you need therapy.
I am in therapy? But it's because of the infertility, not because I'm the root of your problems.
I want to divorce.
What? Why?
Your parents talk to me. They think all my anxiety will magically disappear if we get divorced.
You're seriously going to listen to them after everything we've been through?
I don't know, maybe they're right. Maybe we rushed into this marriage without really understanding what it would entail.
And what about us? What about everything we've built together? He didn't have an answer, and the room fell into a tense silence. Days turned into weeks, and the rift between us widened. We went through the motions, but it felt like we were living in separate worlds. He spent more time at his parents' house seeking their counsel, while I leaned on my friends for support. The days that followed were filled with tension. My husband seemed distant, immersed in his own thoughts. I couldn't shake the feeling that my parents had poisoned his mind against me. Talk to them, let's figure it out together. But he shook his head, his expression suffering.
I need space to think, to breathe.
The silence that settled between us was suffocating. It felt like our love was slipping away, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. After a week, he finally broke the silence.
I want a divorce after all.
I felt as if the ground had gone from under my feet. Please don't do this. We can work out our problems. We love each other. But he remained adamant, his eyes devoid of the warmth I once knew.
My anxiety is tearing me apart. I have to do this for my own peace of mind.
I watched helplessly as he gathered his things and walked out the door, leaving me with a pain that was deeper than anything I'd felt before. My mum and dad got what they wanted. My husband divorced me and I was left alone. It's been 4 years. I still hope my husband will come back to me. But then I get the news that makes me very depressed. My friend Alice called me and told me that she saw my husband in the park. He wasn't alone. It turned out that he has had children for 3 years. His son is 3 years old and his 2 twin daughters are 2 years old. My world fell apart. I had hoped and waited for him for so many years. I had many plans in my head to get back my husband. I wanted to take his children and hide from everyone. I wanted to make him feel bad. I couldn't stop thinking about what might have been if my parents hadn't intervened. Then one day, a letter from an unknown sender appeared on my doorstep. It said that on a stormy night, my ex-husband's car had driven off the rain, slicked road. My heart sank. He could not be saved. His injuries were incompatible with life. His funeral was a flood of tears and condolences. I couldn't believe he was gone, and the guilt of our broken marriage hung over me like a shroud. I regretted that I couldn't do anything to save our love, to shield him from the pressures that had separated us. My parents, who had been so quick to support our divorce, expressed only empty condolences. They could not understand the depth of my grief, nor the gravity of their own role in our tragedy. In the end, my husband's death left me with a deep sense of loss and regret. I lost not only the love of my life, but also an opportunity to redeem myself, to prove that our love was stronger than any hindrance. Yes, he betrayed me, but life had already punished him for me. Standing alone at his grave, with tears in my eyes, I realized that life's vicissitudes had led me to an irreparable loss. The pain of losing my husband, and the realization that our love was destroyed by the very people who were supposed to support us, haunted me for the rest of my days. And so my story ended not with a happy reunion, but with a bitter taste of what could have been.